Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to the live stream. I'm seeing some comments already um, in the live chat. This one's funny. I'm not going to, I just have to highlight this one. Mike, before you give up on carnivore because it can be very misleading and misunderstood, check out Stephanie Keto Person. I promise you won't regret it. Mike, I love you, man, but have you been on my channel at all? Have you seen any of my videos? Because Stephanie is one of my very best friends. We talk pretty much every day. And yes, she's helping me tremendously stay on carnivore. So thank you for the tip. But those of you just coming on, it takes StreamYard a minute to start posting the comments. That comment was made before I went live. So as you guys are coming on to the stream, just say hello in the chat so I know that you're there, and tell me where you're watching from. I always like to know where people are watching from. If you're watching the replay, welcome. Thank you for watching. Okay, I see people. What's up, Jason? How's it going? Got the keto, I don't know if I ever say this, keto apocalypse in the house. One of my friends. We're always messaging each other. Just such a cool guy. If you guys are not following him on Instagram, then you should. And what's up, Debbie? So my plan for this video is to talk a little bit about my plans for the future as far as, oh, wow, okay, I just saw like 10 comments come in. Sorry for my replay, folks. I know you guys get irritated when I talk to the live chat, but make sure you check out and get your notifications so you can come on next time it's live. I've got Texas, Sweden, Chicago, St. Louis, Washington, New York, California, South Africa. Sweet. Oh, I got Keith in the house. Hey, Keith. Myrtle Beach. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming in. So as I was saying before, I started, and I got a super chat. Thank you so much, Matthew. I appreciate you guys. I love super chats. They're so helpful. They help me keep on making this content since I'm not really teaching any yoga right now. All the studios are still shut down here in Georgia. So super chat, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, sorry for being spastic. And Daytona Beach and Paris, Tennessee. Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. So my plan for the video is to talk about my future down the road, what I'm planning on doing with my carnivore diet. Am I going to stay carnivore or not? And then I printed out a ton of questions from Instagram that I took over probably the last 3 or 4 days. A lot of really good questions. So if you're new to the carnivore diet, or even if you've been doing it a while and maybe you've run into some trouble, some walls, then hopefully some of the answers and some of these questions may be helpful to you also. So hi again, everybody. I've got UK in the house also. It's so cool when people are watching from all over the world. I mean, I just love this. And I get so energized from these videos, from interacting with you guys and talking with you guys. It's just so much fun. So sorry for being dorky and geeky and like getting all excited. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, Samuel. Wow. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Now, Samuel's been commenting on a few of my videos, and I really appreciate, like, sometimes I get comments that just are so mean, but Samuel has been just leaving me the nicest comments. A lot of you guys that I see on here are just so kind and so nice. So I sometimes get trapped in talking about negativity and negative comments, but man, there's really just so many cool, amazing people out there. A lot of them I consider just part of this community. So, all right, let me quit babbling here. I appreciate all of you guys so much that are watching. And I love connecting with you guys from all over the country, all over the world. It's just so cool. And I'm a huge dork. So, all right, am I going to stay on the carnivore diet? Why would I consider going off? Oh, sorry, I think we're getting a delivery. My dog doesn't like deliveries, even if they're for her. FedEx, UPS, bad people. So ignore the barking. But why would I consider going off of it? And have I stayed strict? So first of all, I did a a podcast. It was like an interview with Meat RX on Friday with Sean Baker. And that is up on the Meat RX. Oh my gosh, my dog's driving me crazy. Sorry, guys. Should have put her outside, but it's a swamp out here. It's too hot. So on that podcast I did with Sean Baker, I talked a little bit about some foods that I have tried just out of curiosity to see how I would react to them over the last month or so. And thank you so much, Carnivore Fiddler. It was a great podcast. Thank you for that. So that is over on the MeatRx channel. If you haven't heard kind of my whole story, my healing journey, there's been so many amazing things that have happened to me and my body since going carnivore. Even though I have had to make some tweaks, and I do talk extensively in that podcast about the tweaks that I've made over to that higher fat approach, which I'm doing now. But I was saying, you know what, I've tried a few things just to see how my body would react. I have tried broccoli. And when you try something out, you guys, you want to wait like 3 days. So just to really see, like, how's my body reacting to this? You also, and this is something I didn't necessarily do, is check your blood sugar to see if your blood sugar goes up, just to see how your body's going to do with that. So I tried broccoli and I literally had zero reaction. It did not mess up my stomach. It didn't bother me. I did the same thing with asparagus. I went away with my sisters for a little weekend, and I made them steak and they cooked some asparagus. I was like, let me just try a little bit of that. No reaction to that either. I also have tried a little bit of blueberries, no reaction. So that is like, okay, so am I not a carnivore anymore? I don't know. I'm back to strict carnivore now because here's the thing. Oh my gosh, I'm going to highlight this. This is so sweet. Thank you, Samuel. It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you for everything you are doing, and your openness really helped me getting rid of my inflammation and swelling over the last month. Thank you for that. So this question, are you eat vegetables? I think they want to know if I'm eating vegetables. So I have tried vegetables a few times over the last month just to see how my body would react. But I'm back to baseline and back to strict carnivore because I just was kind of like, I just don't really feel the need to eat vegetables. It didn't enhance anything. I didn't have all this amazing energy. If anything, I feel like my sleep got a little bit messed up on the days because I have an Aura ring. Now, last week on my live stream, I talked all about the Aura ring, how I track my sleep, my deep sleep, REM sleep, how many times I get up a night. The times I had the vegetables, my sleep wasn't as good. So I'm like, but that was the only side effect. I had zero digestive distress, no problem at all. I did a video about a month ago, I had a spoonful of almond butter, which used to be my absolute kryptonite. Any kind of nuts, and I'm not trying to play with nuts, you guys, but that didn't sound very good, but it didn't bother me, just the one spoonful. But I think if I had done what I used to do, which was like eat half the jar, it probably would have caused some problems. But this is just a testament, I think, to what the carnivore diet has done for my body, is just really heal my gut. Because back in the day when I would eat broccoli, I would get horrible gas, I would get bloating, and I had literally no bloating and no gas from eating that broccoli or the asparagus, nothing. Fruit would also do the same thing to me. Like, I really had to stop eating fruit. So no reactions other than like a little bit of sleep disturbance, which may or may not have been the vegetables or the fruit. But my point is, my plan is just to stick back to carnivore because it's easier. And I don't feel like I'm nutritionally deficient in anything. Here's a question coming in. This is a good one. What reactions would be expected? Gut issues. I'm new 2 weeks to carnivore and still having some tummy issues while adjusting. Yeah, so tummy issues while adjusting to carnivore can absolutely happen. Could be low stomach acid. That's a big one. Could be gallbladder issue. So having taking some HCl, if you're having the low stomach acid, or taking some ox bile, could be helpful. But here's the thing, I am 20 months in here. So I didn't touch a vegetable. I didn't touch a fruit. I did not touch a plant for like 18, 19 months. I didn't touch any of that stuff. So my gut has had a very long time to heal. I also take the ancestral supplements thymus as well as the kidney to help with those histamine issues, because a lot of times plants especially can cause you to have histamine reactions on meat. Can too. Meat's not perfect. You don't want to have ground meat if you have histamine problems, or if your meat is left over, you cooked it and left in the fridge a day or so, you don't want to eat that. But I've really worked hard. So if you're brand new to carnivore and you're like, oh, I want to heal, but I still want to try to eat plants, then it's probably not going to be optimal for you guys. But yeah, let me highlight this one. Nia says, I get so sick when I stray from carnivore. I pay for it big time. Tacos are just too tasty to pass up though. I don't cheat a lot, but when I do, it's tacos. Man, I haven't had a taco in like 2 years, but that sounds really good. I'm not going to play around with it though, because I don't mess with corn. That's one thing I don't mess with is corn. That does not, I don't know, maybe I would do okay with it. But at this point, it's just like, I just don't want to mess with it. And here's the thing, like there's a new group out there, you guys, a new group of people out there who are attacking carnivores and talking about how unhealthy we are and extreme and this, that, and the other. And I did a post about it yesterday talking about being extreme. For me, the way that my health was before carnivore was extreme. The way that my body was before carnivore was extreme. And so if you don't know this, I was vegan from 2012 to 2014. I thought it was something that I had to do. As being a yoga teacher, I was a brand new yoga teacher, thought it was something I had to do. And then I went off of that because my health went down the drain. And ended up doing basically paleo, pretty much, paleo. I wouldn't even call it standard American diet because I just really did not eat a ton of processed foods. I would every now and then have, dessert or something like that I really liked, but I didn't do a ton of processed foods. But my health just still wasn't good. I was eating a very small amount of meat because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. So when people come and attack me for being carnivore, doing the carnivore diet, the biggest statement I get is like, why don't you just eat a balanced diet? And I'm like, I tried that for many years, for 4 solid years, to eat this quote unquote balanced diet. And by the end of that 4-year period, I was on about $500 a month worth of supplements per day, because I got attacked for giving my supplement routine last week. Of course, let me talk to people about what supplements I'm taking, which is mostly minerals, FYI. And I'm going to talk more about minerals in a little bit here because I think they're important. But, I got attacked for that. And I'm like, no, you just don't get it. When I was eating a bunch of plants, when I was eating all those plants, my body just wasn't happy. I had very bad digestion. I had IBS. I had a lot of bloating. So one of the reasons I started this channel is because I just really want to help other people. I really want to help people to not have the kind of health problems that I had by just trying to eat this like quote unquote balanced diet. I still had a ton of blood sugar issues, was hangry, irritable, depression, anxiety, on and off of medications for those things. So anyway, that's my little side note here. I'm going to jump into some of these questions, but if y'all have questions, I'm going to do my best to try to read the live chat and answer some of these also, because the fun of this whole thing is that I'm interacting with you guys, but I have a ton of questions here in my lap that I'm gonna read for, and then I'm gonna address this one super quick that's in the chat right now. I took desiccated liver, thymus, and kidney, and I didn't sleep for 3 days. I had to stop taking them. So some people I'm finding, they do have a reaction to the desiccated supplements. So a couple ways around that is to put those into the freezer. I was saying refrigerator, but I talked with the guy that runs Ancestral Supplements. He says that's not a great idea because the refrigerator is where histamine can build up. So put them in the freezer. And so that's what I do now. I keep them in the freezer. Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you so much, Jan. I really, really appreciate that super chat. Oh my gosh. You guys are so kind. Like it helps so much right now for me because I'm not really working. So this really helps a lot. But yeah, or you can just try to eat the organs. So if you can get regular thymus, or if you can get kidney, I know lamb kidney tastes a lot better than a cow kidney. So just trying to actually eat those whole organs or eat liver rather than taking the capsules, or keeping the capsules in the freezer is a good way around that. And this is funny. So do you define yourself as a carnivore now? I define myself as a human being who eats meat. How's that? You guys like that? Okay. Let's get into these questions. But I am following the carnivore diet right now. I don't define myself as carnivore or vegan or this or that or the other. Those are just labels. They're names. They're not who I am. They don't make me a better person or any of that stuff. But I do believe the body can heal with meat, with animal products. Does everybody need to be carnivore? Probably not. Do some people do better with plants than others? Absolutely. But it's not just a black and white thing. I think labels are kind of dumb, even though my channel name is Carnivore Yogi and I call myself Carnivore Yogi. That is more like an anti-brainwashing thing. That's more of a statement against, you got to be a vegan or vegetarian if you do yoga or meditation. That's more of a statement of saying, like, I'm a human being that has stress, and I believe that yoga and meditation, those things are ways to get rid of the stress, increase my consciousness, make me a kinder person who is able to be more of service to the world, and to say, screw the brainwashing that tells me I have to eliminate meat in order to practice these things, which literally just help my body to relax. And I am a teacher, and I see so many people who are traumatized, and I am actually certified to teach trauma yoga to help people who have PTSD and trauma. So I see people suffering, and I don't want people to be turned off by yoga and meditation because they think that you need to be vegan, vegetarian, and live in a mud hut somewhere and wear white cloth all the time. Like, I'm trying to break that mold a little bit. So, to anybody out there who wants to attack me for having the name that I do, that's what I have to say to you. All right. So you guys, I'm still looking for comments if you have any, but I'm going to start reading some of these questions. All right. So, hi, I love your page. One question: what's your stance on sweeteners and diet sodas on carnivore? I'm going to say that's a hard no. Definitely no sweeteners and diet sodas on carnivore. Number one, diet sodas, your typical diet sodas will, usually, most people, they're going to spike your insulin. They may not have an effect on your blood sugar. A lot of people, now my friend Jason, I don't know if he's still watching, he actually had a really good, the Keto Apocalypse on Instagram, he had a really great post, I think it was yesterday, on artificial sweeteners and diet soda. But sometimes, and I know I just put a carnivore ice cream thing up and there was a little sweetener in that. But for most of the time, especially if you're just getting started, stay away from that stuff because, again, it could increase your blood sugar. But even if your blood sugar doesn't increase, sometimes your insulin will spike. So when your insulin spikes, guess what that is? It's a fat storage hormone. So you don't necessarily, and you don't want your insulin to be high. There's tons of research on that. And then it's going to cause your sugar cravings. So one of the beautiful, magical things about the carnivore diet is that you get rid of those sugar cravings. It's wonderful. But if you start having those sweeteners and sweet things, that can put you right back in that place where you're craving and wanting that sugar again. Okay, this is a question here. Oh, and I'm going to highlight this one. Alicia, I almost stopped yoga when I reintroduced meat. Don't do that. Don't do that. My yoga practice is better and stronger. My meditations are better. I feel more grounded, more connected with animal products, with meat, with nutrients in my body. It's amazing. So don't let that. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I don't want people to think you got to adopt dogma in order to have these practices that can help calm your body. This is a good question, and it kind of goes along with some other questions I have on here. Are you eating 200 grams of fat on top of fat from meat? Yes, I am. I'm still eating a very high-fat carnivore diet, and I do eat, on top of the meat that I eat, an additional 200 grams of fat per day. I function the best when I'm in a deep therapeutic ketosis, and my hormones are much happier doing that. Let's see. Okay, so this was another question that kind of goes in that thread. Are you still doing high fat? I'm at 55 grams of protein and 180 grams of fat and starving. How do you do it? So yeah, I would be starving too if I was only eating 180 grams, like starting out, because here's the thing about high fat carnivore. You're going to have to go through a time where you're keto adapting. So to go and get keto adapted, it may take some time. It can take 90 days to 6 months to really truly get fat adapted. So you may be a little more hungry, but I would not start off at 180 grams of fat. I would say minimum of 200. I go up to 300, even 400 sometimes. Not 400 now, but when I was first starting, I would go way up high because I just didn't want to be hungry. Let's see. Can you eat fat while fasting? Well, I mean, I don't fast at all. I do zero fasting. So, but there are things called fat fasts. Sorry, that didn't sound right. But yeah, you can, but I don't fast at all. I've done a lot of videos about that. Speaking of sugar cravings, mine went away after 4 days of strict carnivore. It was horrible in the beginning, but if you can get past those first few days, it really does go away. Exactly. I totally agree. It does. Let's see. Have you stopped gaining weight? Yes, I have stopped gaining weight. So I've talked about this a lot of when I switched over to high fat. Now here's the thing that happened when I switched to high fat carnivore. The pandemic. The most stress that I have felt in years happened at the same time I switched to high fat carnivore. And I did a whole video showing my blood sugar, which was spiking to like 110, 120, like, and the average is, 70, 80. With no food, just with stress, it was spiking. So I did gain weight when I went over to high fat carnivore, but I also had not had a regular period. I had not had a regular cycle in like 2 years. So I was going into early menopause, and you don't want to go into early menopause when you're, in your early 40s. That's not cool. So what happened is that I did have to gain a little bit of weight, and it wasn't immense. In order to get my cycle and my hormones back online. So yeah, but I have stopped gaining weight. I'm actually down just a little bit. I did weigh myself, you guys. I just talked about it in my stories for the first time since February. So I don't actually know how much weight that I gained, but I'm up 10 pounds since I weighed myself in February, which is fine with me because I've been eating a little bit in a surplus also to give my body that sense of safety, to not fast, to get my hormones back online. So I'm down a little bit from what I was because my clothes are fitting a bit differently. So that's a long answer to have you stopped gaining weight. Now, I'm not going to throw up how much I weigh right now or anything like that, but oh, I got Stephanie in the house. Stephanie, so I first got on here and some guy, he saw the title of my video and he's like, before you quit carnivore, you have to check out Stephanie Keto Person. You have to go find her. And I was like, dude, have you watched any of my videos? Like, seriously, have you watched any of my videos at all? Yeah. Steph is my girl. Like, we literally, I'm blowing up her WhatsApp all day. I'm sending her messages all day. And I love my Stephanie. She's freaking bomb. Like, she's been so helpful. And I was just talking about the whole weight gain thing and like getting my hormones back on balance. And here's the other thing. I just did a video where I talked about mistakes I see people making doing carnivore diet and just like calorie restricting, fasting, trying to eat 1,200 calories a day and then do all this fasting. And then if you do that on any way of eating, not just the carnivore diet, but if you do that on any way of eating, you're going to lower your basal metabolic rate. So sometimes what people have to do is eat in a surplus for a little while. And I think that eating a high fat carnivore diet is a great way to go because you're going to give your body all the nutrients that it needs, right? So eating in a surplus for a little bit of time, not freaking out about the scale because it's obviously going to go up a little bit if you're in a surplus. But when you're eating that high quality nutrient dense food, you're getting your liver, your thymus, you're eating that red meat, you're eating that suet or that super high quality fat, your body is going to be like, thank you. And eventually your basal metabolic rate is going to go up, so that if you eat 1,200 calories, eventually your body's going to adjust to that, right? And then you're going to have to keep on dropping the calories in order to like either lose weight or maintain your weight, which that would suck. I don't want to eat 1,200 calories a day. I would like kill my whole family. Are you kidding me? And weight training, which is another thing. Stephanie's like, right? Right. It's like, and weight training. So Steph has been, we talked probably like, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, we did a StreamYard where we're going over like what I'm eating and all that stuff. And she's like, let's talk about the weight training. And I was like, well, how often should I do that? And she's like, every day. I was like, oh, so that's another thing I've been doing to bump up my basal metabolic rate is weight training. And it's like half an hour with my weights that I have at home. You know, that's helping a lot to bump up that basal metabolic rate. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So this is a question. I'm going to highlight it, but I'm going to tell you guys, I can't really answer these types of questions because I don't really know. I'm not a doctor, expert, or coach. She's experiencing lower back pain and dark circles under my eyes. Okay. So here's the thing. This sounds like an issue with kidneys, but I'm not a doctor, coach, or anything like that. That's why I send everyone over to Stephanie's. You can go to her website. I will drop it in the information section below the video. I didn't edit this video before I went on. Yeah, so I'll drop that in. But I think that you should get a consult, get some help, get some coaching. If you're having lower back pain, that could be your kidneys. And I say this a lot, your liver can regenerate, but your kidneys cannot. So get a consult, get some help with that. Yes. And that's, yeah. So she's on the course page. Yeah. So I got my girl here. She's backing me up. I'm going to highlight this one. I feel badly for the Strong sisters. They're jumping from diet to diet and not giving any way of eating a chance. It can take up to 2 years for the body to heal. Knowledge from stuff. So here's the thing about Sarah and Ashley. I know them. I met them at White Oak Cello. We have each other's phone numbers. We text. I think that they are absolute sweethearts. They're wonderful girls. Do I agree with everything they're doing now? I think that they've made the decision that they've decided is best for them. You know, I'm not going to jump into anyone else's body. They're also like a good 20 years younger than me or something like that. So it's different, but here's, and I know that they may see this, they may not. Here's my little thing is that, it's a lot of the people they're bringing on their channel and talking about are very big critics of the carnivore diet. And the way that they did the carnivore diet, and they've talked about this, is that they did a bunch of fasting. They didn't eat every day until 2 o'clock. They did a bunch of OMAD. They might have eaten high fat, but they never took their protein down to get into that therapeutic level of ketosis. So like I said, I have their phone number. We're friends. I love them dearly. I think they're very sweet girls. But to say that the carnivore diet caused them trouble, caused them damage, I don't think is 100% accurate. But if they wanted to go and eat carbs, you know, carbs are not necessarily the devil. That, you know, they've decided to eat. I think that they're still eating a good amount of red meat. They're eating their egg yolks. They're getting their liver. They're getting their nutrients. However, we can't blame carnivore diet on what was going on with them. I'm going to blame OMAD. I'm going to blame fasting. I'm going to blame meal timing. I'm going to blame electrolyte imbalances possibly. I'm going to blame, you can't do high fat and high protein at the same time and expect to get into ketosis. It's just not going to work. So this is a good question. I've heard that some carnivores still eat avocados. Should a person wait months to introduce some if they're necessary at all? I mean, so I'm very anti-dogma. Yeah, and here's the thing. Oops, my bad. You add avocado for the potassium, not the fat. Exactly. So the problem that I have run into with carnivore is my body's ability to hold on to my minerals, my electrolytes. Now, I'm going to be having Morley Robbins on in August. I actually was trying to get him on my show, and he called me over the weekend. I was like, this is who? I talked to Morley Robbins, he's like the mineral expert. He was amazing to talk to. And, we talked about the fact that stress causes your body to just pee out those minerals, lose those minerals. So I think a lot of people right now are having more trouble with electrolyte balance. And I think people doing carnivore are going to have more trouble with electrolyte balance, because I've said this a bunch of times, carbohydrates allow your body to hold on to water. And if you don't have any carbohydrates, then it's a lot harder for your body to hold on to the minerals, that hydration. So people adding an avocado, I think, are people that are struggling to hold on to their potassium, because a great natural way to get potassium is an avocado. But some people, and Stephanie says this a lot, if you have a latex allergy, then you may have an issue with avocado. And for some people, it's a histamine response. When I tried avocados initially, I would get heart palpitations. So that's histamine response. Since then, I can eat avocado every now and then. It doesn't really bother me. But I prefer to just supplement with that potassium citrate, especially if I'm having any kind of histamine issues. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Alicia. Yeah. And I think Alicia's talking about Sarah and Ashley again, that they were overtraining. And that's another thing I see people doing, is just like, way overtraining, pushing their bodies too hard. If you push your body too hard, at a certain point, it's going to say, screw you, I'm done. And, to not have your cycle, that's one of the sex hormones are usually going to be the first things to go. Let's see. Yeah. And I see you guys in the chat talking about electrolytes. I think that, just get a consult, join Stephanie's keto group. I've done a lot of videos on the electrolytes. So let me look at some of these questions. I'm trying to pay attention to the stuff going on in the chat also. Let's see. Let me look at some of these questions. How about all other well-known doctors? Example, Dr. Axe, who says we should eat veggies. I mean, I think that there's more. It was actually Mark Sisson put a video out. If you guys don't know who he is, he's kind of like the father of like paleo, keto, all that stuff. He even talked about the necessity of vegetables, whether you need them or not, and how he's kind of leaning more and more towards going carnivore. So there's more and more research coming out. I know Dr. Baker's putting out a lot of more research about how plants may not be optimal, right? I see plants as condiments. I don't see, if you can tolerate plants and you enjoy them, I don't see a problem with eating plants. I mean, we're not like a religion here. Being carnivore is not a religion. If you want to have some plants here and there, and they don't bother your body, they don't cause inflammation, have some plants. But I think that a lot of these doctors, now that more and more, I've seen doctor after doctor over the last couple weeks, start Dr. Mindy Pelz or Plez. I don't know some of you guys may know who that is. She's all of a sudden on the carnivore train. And she was very anti-carnivore for a long time. So I think more and more people are coming out and saying, we don't know that these plants are good for us or that they're even necessary. Let's see this. It's just, okay. Isn't not being able to hold on to minerals indicative of not being natural state of humans? Just eat carbs. No, I mean, this is why I'm having Morley Robbins on my show, and why I think people, juice, you can go juice. You can go check out Morley Robbins. It's not just keto or carnivore people necessarily that are having trouble holding on to their minerals. Most people are mineral deficient because our soil is very deficient. So even if you're eating vegetables, even if you're eating plants, you're more than likely, number one, not getting the minerals that are touted in those vegetables, because our soil is so incredibly depleted from monocropping, and you're just not getting those minerals. And then number two, can your body convert those minerals and those vitamins? So let's see. Yeah, Stephanie is on the chat, Tara. But so go look at Morley Robbins, go look at his work, and most people are not getting those minerals. So it's just a little bit harder for people doing keto and carnivore to hang on to their minerals and to get those electrolytes. But, most people are very, very depleted in magnesium. And it has nothing to do with, let's see, Stephanie, get them. Wrong. We never ate GMO and selectively bred plants out of season. Exactly. That's what I just said was that we never, everyone has this whole like caveman thing of like, let's eat like a caveman. Cavemen didn't have cell phones. Cavemen went out in this, they were, they didn't have the same stresses that we have. They didn't have stoplights. They didn't have all kinds of stuff like that we have. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And so juice, like I'm looking at this, they were thin and healthy and ate bread and butter. Granted, the food quality was higher still. Yeah. So food quality is everything. Food quality, stress, all of that stuff. So, all right. Thoughts on oxalate dumping. Is it real? That's a question from here. Yeah, I think oxalate dumping is absolutely real. Sally K. Norton is a good one to check out if you guys don't know anything about oxalates or oxalate dumping. But I think sometimes people can blame. I see this happen in a lot of the carnivore Facebook groups a lot. People are like, I lost my period. This one I saw the other day. I lost my period. And somebody was like, oh, that's oxalate dumping. I was like, oh, are you freaking kidding me right now? I see this happen a lot, especially in the carnivore Facebook groups, which is why I don't go into them. People are blaming electrolyte imbalance or, hormonal disruptions and stuff like that on oxalate dumping. So oxalate dumping is a very specific thing. I think it definitely does exist, but I think people are overblowing it and saying the wrong things about it. Okay, so someone wants to know, will you go back to intermittent fasting someday? Honestly, I'm not planning on it. I'm a lot happier without that in my life. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And yeah, Stephanie says losing period is about hormones. Exactly. So how I lost my period, I started doing a ton of intermittent fasting, and I ate, I never put my body in ketosis. I was always hovering between ketosis and glucose burning because I was eating way too much protein. And my body, my period was a little bit screwed up before I went into carnivore. And then between the intermittent fasting and eating way too much protein, not enough fat, my period was like, peace. But this is my girl Steph. She hates fasting. That's why I'm planning on going back to it, because I feel like we couldn't even be friends anymore if I went back to fasting, and that would suck to not have Stephanie in my corner. It would suck. But yeah, when I started following her advice, you guys, I got my cycle back within 2 weeks. I was like, I got it. Did a consult with Stephanie, did exactly what she said. 2 weeks later, my cycle came back. It has been back every month. This is month 6 on time. And that had been screwed up for 2 years. Okay. So that's my thoughts on fasting. I know a lot of people love it. I know a lot of people are like addicted to it. It's, but for me, no. Definitely not. Here's a question. Why does rendered fat make me sick? So that is a lot of times gallbladder stuff going on. And most people do. And that's another thing, like get a consult if that's something that you're doing and you're eating too much fat, it's making you sick, or you're eating fat and you're just not hungry. Oh, here we go. I don't plan on fast, but some days I'm just not hungry. Stephanie, you may not be hungry because of your gallbladder. Exactly. That's what I was just saying about this question about why does rendered fat make me sick? So not being hungry and rendered fat making you sick, or fat making you sick, is a lot of times it's going to be a gallbladder issue. So some people have gallbladder sludge or issues with their gallbladder. They have no idea until they start trying to eat fat and do it this way. So again, Stephanie is a great one to go to. She knows her stuff about the gallbladder. Ox bile salts are helpful for a lot of people. So that may be something, if you're eating fat and you're just like, I'm not saying anyone should force feed themselves, but you're eating like 1,000 calories a day. I hear this from people sometimes. I'm eating 1,000 calories a day and I'm just not hungry. I'm like, that's probably your gallbladder or something going on there. And same thing with the rendered fat. Now, I don't eat rendered fat. I eat, frozen fat from the freezer. That's my favorite time. Or I eat raw fat. I eat raw beef suet. So yeah. Okay, so here's a question that I get a lot. I'm still looking at, okay, comments in the chat. We're good. All right, Stephanie's talking to some peeps in there. Y'all didn't know you were going to get some expert advice in the live chat too. Can cinnamon, ginger, cayenne pepper, and turmeric cause inflammation? Yes, that's a question I got. And here's another question. Can I eat chocolate on the carnivore diet? And here's, you can, but don't call it the carnivore diet. Like, carnivore diet is that you're not eating all these spices, right? You're eating animal products only. And I think for a lot of people, they're going to do better without dairy products also. So a lot of people will ask me, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have this? Can I have that? I'm like, is it an animal? Did it come from an animal? No. No. Let's see. I'm looking at the live chat to see. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to this. This one's a good, and I talked about this a second ago. How do I deal with weight gain and still following the diet? It's frustrating. Well, I mean, this is number one where I think people should go get a consult, get individual help. If they're gaining a bunch of weight, you may want to look at, are you having a histamine response? Even if you're on carnivore, you can have a histamine response, especially if you're still trying to eat dairy, if you're eating leftover meat, if you're eating ground meat. This is funny. Do you mean I have to give up my cheese? I mean, this is the thing, like, you don't have to give up anything, but if you're not hitting, and Stephanie will jump in about cheese. She's not a big fan of cheese. I don't eat cheese, but if you're not getting to where you want to go, if you're gaining weight, if you're having issues, then you may want to cut the cheese out. Let's see. Cheese is super allergenic food. Yeah. And so when you're allergic to something, when you're having inflammation, your insulin's going to spike, and insulin is a fat storage hormone, right? And like I mentioned earlier with the diet sodas don't do anything to my blood sugar, but they absolutely spike my insulin. So let's see. How can one calm carb cravings trying keto? So greener pastures, I think that if just look at what you're eating. If you have anything with a sweetener in it, so with keto, this is why I prefer carnivore over keto. Is that a lot of people kind of eat like the fake desserts on keto. And that any kind of sweetener, any kind of fake dessert, any kind of fake foods can cause you to have those cravings. But sometimes the best thing to do is just make sure you're getting enough fat. Yes. Oh my gosh, Stephanie, you're psychic. Carb cravings, add more fat. Make sure you're getting enough fat. Yes. And yeah, raw cheese still has a lot of casein. Casein, so y'all know that I have a daughter with autism. A lot of you guys know. And the first thing that they tell you to do when you have a kid with autism, dietary-wise, is to take them. It's even called GFCF, the GFCF diet, and that's old school. Like I've been in this autism game for a long time, but casein-free, gluten-free, casein-free. Even regular mainstream doctors are recommending that now, because kids with autism have a lot of issues with inflammation. Autism is a lot of brain inflammation a lot of the time. So the first thing they'll tell you is to get rid of the casein. So a lot of people come to carnivore and they want to heal their gut and they want to have all these benefits, but they're loading their bodies up with dairy, which has casein in it. So it's very inflammatory. And it's going to slow things down. Your gut's not going to heal. You're probably going to deal with cravings or overeating, satiety issues. So yeah, and I have eaten dairy at different times on carnivore, not in the last 6 months since I've been working with Steph, but every time I would eat dairy, I would not feel good, and I'd be okay for a little bit, but then I would have, histamine reactions. And I'm like, why am I having histamine reactions? Or I'd get like a patch of eczema on my wrist. And I'm like, I thought I cured my eczema with carnivore. So Teresa wants to know, how is your period now? So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but So here's what, I think I said this a little bit earlier, but it's regular, it's on time. It was off for a couple of years, but it's been for the last 6 months on time, in that 28-day window. And it went from being 7 days long when I was about 35, I'm 41 now. When I was about 35, my period turned into 7 days long, horrible PMS, just want to murder everybody. Going carnivore didn't really help that super much. But now, since I'm doing that super high fat and following Stephanie's advice, and then she wants to know any PMS. PMS is pretty much asymptomatic for me. I don't get crazy cravings. I can get a little bit, I can get a little edgy, but sometimes right now I'm PMSing and I'm totally fine. No acne, no sleep issues, none of that. So I've been very asymptomatic with PMS. It's been on time, and it went from 7 days down to 5 days. So that's been amazing for me, because I would always get confused. People like, I went carnivore and my period got better. And I'm like, nope. I had to listen to Steph before it got better. Let's see. Here's a good question. I love this. I love all these awesome comments in the chat right now. Let's see. Hi, I'm sorry I just came. I'm getting suet next week, but in the meantime, I have only fat trimmings from grass-fed beef. I need brain help from concussion. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you. Okay, so Angela, go back in some of my videos, and there is a girl that I did a video with. Her name is Emily. She has a channel. She's called Center of Brilliance. She actually healed her MS. And her MS is still in remission. She has not taken any lithium in over a year. And she's off all of her medications now. And she just intuitively did this. I had to go get help with Steph. I had to like do a bunch of stuff, but MS was really severe for her. She was in the hospital, and she intuitively just started eating, she says she eats about 1.5 pounds total weight per day. So I think she eats close to 1 pound of beef fat trimmings per day, and just about 8 ounces of meat. And she works with a local farmer. She has been very open about it on her channel. She lives in a trailer park on food stamps. Okay. So she's not out there getting these crazy expensive, but she works with a local farmer. Her farmer hooks her up with beef fat trimmings and meat, and her MS is completely in remission. So if you have brain issues, or you're trying to heal from concussion or something like that, I think eating that high fat and the beef fat trimmings are great. I don't think Emily eats suet at all, but go check her out. She's awesome. Let's see. Any help for having facial hair because of PCOS? Need to remove every day. So, PCOS is that severe insulin resistance. I think, again, if you're not already in Stephanie's keto group, I would definitely recommend getting in there just so you get some guidance on how to eat that high fat. Yes. Okay. And Steph says, you have to detox the liver big time. Agree. So yes, join Stephanie's keto group. After I finish the video, I will link it below in the information section, but y'all can go to her website. I think it's stephanieketoperson.com, or Steph, drop your website in the chat so everyone on live chat knows your website, so they know how to get into your group or book a consult with you. All right, I'm going to look at some more of these comments while you guys are still putting comments in. Here's one. Should we count calories on carnivore diet to lose weight? So, a lot of people say no, and you can't eat too much meat, and don't count calories and this, that, and the other. I have to weigh my stuff because I eat a lot of fat, and I can easily blow through a ton of fat. I can blow through a ton of fat easily. So I don't like count my calories, but I track to see like, okay, I ate X, 5 ounces of fat, or I do track that fat because it's really easy to overeat that, and a lot easy. So I don't think you should count calories. Okay, this is a good one. Whoops. What if you can't get beef fat and suet? That's not the one I meant to click on, but Steph's good with this. You can eat butter if you can tolerate butter, or ghee, or goat ghee, or goat butter. This is, okay, so here we go. StephaniePerson.com. That's where y'all go to join her keto group, or to book a consult with her. I booked a consult with her in February and have not looked back, honestly. It's been the best freaking thing I did for myself. This is what I want to click on. I'm doing castor oil packs for my liver. Is that okay? Yeah. And Steph is like, Sarah knows all well how castor oil packs work. Yeah, they work. They definitely work. But, all right, and this, I'm going to highlight this that Steph says. Here's for liver: milk thistle, electrolyte balance, sleep, and poop detox helps the liver. So let's get back to the castor oil packs, because that was actually a question in here from my Instagram people. So this is my experience with the castor oil packs. The first time I did a castor oil pack, I felt really good. And so I was like, well, let me do it another day. Because if it's great one day, you got to do it another day. And at the end of the hour that I had the castor, because you put the pack on your liver, you lay there with like a hot water bottle, and you let that, the wool and the castor oil kind of soak that stuff up out of your liver. And so the second night I did it, I started getting this horrible headache. I mean, it was just awful, because I was detoxing. I was detoxing too fast, but I felt great. So, and here's the other thing. My cycle, which had been coming on day, exactly on day 28, came a day early, with the day after I did that castor oil pack. So it made my cycle come a little early. And I've heard from other women that those castor oil packs can kind of mess with your cycle too. So yeah, that's one thing. And then this month, I decided I would try castor oil pack and do it between, so if you're a woman, you don't really want to do it during PMS week. Found that out the hard way, because it made my cycle come one day early, which is like really no big deal, because your cycle is like between 26 and 29 days for most people. But it made it come one day early. But this is what happened this month when I did it between after I finished the bleed period and before ovulation, because that's really your optimal ideal time to do it. It screwed up my electrolytes. And I'm still kind of like trying to work with that electrolyte balance. But it messed up my electrolytes bad for a few days. So the castor oil packs, because that was a question I got from the Instagram questions as well, is that they can mess up your cycle and they can mess up your electrolytes. So other than that, I think they're good. I mean, it made me feel really good, but headache and electrolyte balance. So, okay. I'm going to look through some of these more questions. I'm going to go and pretty soon I'm going to get off of here, probably in the next 10 minutes or so. So you guys send me questions on here if you have any. I'm going to just make sure I got to all these questions from my Instagram people. Okay, here's one. And it kind of goes with my thing of how long will you do carnivore? What do you miss? So that is kind of why I tried to do vegetables, because I kind of actually missed vegetables. Like a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I don't miss vegetables at all. I really used to love vegetables. I ate a ton of vegetables. So that's why I was like, let me just try them and see how I feel. Tried them a little bit last month, kind of mess with my sleep a little bit. So, And now after trying them, I'm kind of like, was it worth all the hype, of like wanting the vegetables? So, I mean, honestly, as long as my body is still doing well, I'm still feeling good, I don't see a reason to stop carnivore. I don't really miss foods as much as I miss like the feelings around foods, if that makes sense. It's like that excitement of, having cake or whatever, but I don't miss how cake made me feel. Like I just don't miss that at all. So I don't really miss a lot of things. I just miss the feelings, the emotions, the emotional stuff around those foods. So I hope that makes sense to that person. Could you do a video talking about the period with all of our questions about it? Yeah, I can absolutely do that, because that's been a topic, speaking of Sarah and Ashley, the Armstrong sisters, that they've talked about quite a bit, so I think it is important. And I do get messages from other women who are like, I went carnivore and I lost my period. And I got to ask the question, like, are you doing a bunch of fasting? What do your meals look like? Meal timing, all of that stuff. Is it normal to lose the taste for chicken and pork when starting carnivore? I cannot stand either anymore. You know, that hasn't necessarily happened to me, but, you know, if you're going to choose a meat to eat that's optimal for you, you want to stick more to those ruminant animals anyway, because the nutrient profile is just so much better. Now, I love pork fat. I do. And I do love my pork belly, but they're not completely. Oh, see, y'all are getting a treat today. Stephanie says, Lacey, if you lost the taste for pork and chicken, it could be histamine. Yes. So that is highly possible, because a lot of people will have a histamine reaction to pork. Not a lot of people, but some people will, and chicken also. So maybe your body is intuitively saying, So you may want to stick to those ruminant animals and then rotating your meat. And Keto and Kingdom Life says, I've seen such huge improvements with Stephanie's plan. Yeah, I have too. And so this is another reason why I keep on putting information out on my channel, why I keep things going, is I really want to help people, because I literally almost did quit carnivore because of all the problems that I was having. But Stephanie helped me to get back on track. Okay, yeah. So Lacey says, yes, I tend to get a runny nose. How weird is that? Yeah, runny nose is I can't say, I'll let Steph say histamine. That's a lot of the time, histamine. Let's see. I tried to incorporate vegetables after being mostly carnivore for 6 months. My gut took 2 months to adjust to even a little extra fiber, and it shortened my cycle. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, like I said, I didn't introduce any vegetables until I had been doing carnivore like 19 months. And, I was fine with it. But I think that, you know, everyone's different. And I do hear people that try to add foods back in and have horrible reactions to it. They may have some gut healing to do. They may have histamine issues still. So it's not just like so black and white. Like everything I'm trying to put out there is just, I just want to be transparent and helpful for people. Nia says, is it normal to have a shorter cycle when doing carnivore? I will let Steph weigh in on that, but I do hear that a lot from people, but that's just, you know, it could be your body going through some stress. Yeah. Stress. Nia, having a shorter cycle is cortisol from not keto adapting. Exactly. So what happens, you guys, what I was talking about earlier when I was eating like a super high protein carnivore is I was not keto adapting. My body was creating a bunch of cortisol. I had the continuous glucose monitor on the back of my arm, and I was in my sleep. My blood glucose was shooting up in the night. So I didn't know it. I would test during the day, and my blood glucose would be like, okay, I think this is good. But at night, it was shooting way, way, way up, like 30, 40 points because of the cortisol, because my body was not keto adapting, because my protein was way too high. My fat was too low. So yeah. That's what I think. I'll take a couple more questions before I gotta run. My 12-year-old daughter is eating carnivore like me. Should I be adding any supplement for her? Has helped tremendously on her anxiety. That's awesome. I mean, I would say she definitely needs electrolyte supplementation. My 12-year-old daughter is doing keto. She's not carnivore because she still likes her plants. And she doesn't eat a ton of them, but she still loves some plants. But yeah, I think that she should definitely get some electrolytes in there for sure. That's one mistake people make, is not giving themselves electrolytes. Let's see. Yeah. And then Stephanie says, you have to get the macros correct as well as any underlying health issues you're not aware of. Yeah. So yes, for child, yes, enough fat and electrolyte balance. So my daughter, yeah, she's keto, but I have to fight the girl for my beef suet, for real. Like, y'all have heard me talk about eating beef suet out of the fridge. My daughter will steal my beef suet. So that's one thing with my daughter, is I push the fat. And she's 12 and a half. She's looks amazing. She's doing so much better. Let's see. This is really helping me. I have lots of gas and unpredictable digestion. First added liver and bone broth, had a normal VM. Also adding some organic unpasteurized sauerkraut sometimes. I'm glad it's helping, Joseph. You know, sometimes with the sauerkraut, be careful with that, because that can cause histamine issues as well. And same thing with the bone broth, because that's something I didn't know. I just had Dr. Becky Campbell on my channel. We did a long interview. She's kind of the histamine expert, so you guys go check that out. But we had this whole conversation about how superfoods sometimes can be like kryptonite, right? So we talk about how amazing bone broth is and how great it is, but for some people it can cause histamine reactions, which again could cause digestion issues, blood sugar issues. Same thing with the sauerkraut. So yeah, so check out. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. So check out that video with Dr. Campbell. All right, I'm going to make sure, because I had people on Instagram that were like, are you sure you're going to answer my question? I think I got everything, honestly. So, all right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming on today. It was so awesome to have all of you guys. And make sure you tune into the next live stream. I will try to have Stephanie on my channel soon. We'll do, since she's on here, I can bait her into coming on and actually talking with me live, because she's just like a wealth of wisdom, and a lot of questions on here I can do my best to answer because I like stalk her YouTube and I'm in her keto group. And I watch all of her mini consults. I'm like taking it all in, learning it. So I'll try to have her on here sometime soon so that she can answer some of your questions and we can help you guys. So thank you guys again for coming on to the live stream. I appreciate all of you so much. And I will catch you next week on the live stream. I try to do one of these per week. So y'all have a really awesome rest of your Monday. Bye, guys.